I was once asked, if you could single out the quality that gave you everything you have, what would it be? It seems like a simple question, but it made me think. I immediately remembered the periods when I had no energy to do anything and wanted to quit. But I kept moving, not thanks to inspiration, luck, support, or motivation. It was discipline, the ability to do what my mind dictates despite my mood and emotions. If I owe anything, it is discipline. Although I don't consider my results significant in terms of discipline, there is always room for improvement nevertheless. If I could tell my 18 years old self something, I would say one thing: continue, even harder work on self-discipline and learn to control yourself. Because in the long run, it will give you everything you really want. It is only a matter of time. But when I say discipline, it is important to deeply understand what I'm talking about, because most often we greatly distort this concept, considering it as strict frameworks, prohibitions, and life without freedom of choice. In this video, I will show what discipline really is, why it is the basis of any achievements, how to develop it, and why it makes a person truly free, freeing him from the slavery of moods, impulses, and momentary weaknesses. First of all, let's start with why we generally understand discipline incorrectly and what is the reason for the distortion of this concept. First, these are the consequences of our past. Let's just look at the chronology of our lives. First, it is childhood. In childhood, we are always told what and how to do. What is there are certain prohibitions that we must follow, and we live in the system. A clear concept is formed in our heads. This cannot be done, but this can be done. Then we go to school. School is again a system with a huge number of rules. Whether we like it or not, we are obliged to follow these rules. And then, after school and training in general, we go to work. At work, we again encounter control and a huge number of frameworks that our employers and, in principle, the system in which we work, this or that company set for us. All this is what we subsequently subconsciously begin to associate with the concept of discipline. External restrictions, frameworks, rules, this is allowed, and this is not. If I follow all this, then I'm a disciplined person. So we gradually begin to think, but all this is essentially just external restrictions which we called discipline, and took these factors as some external disciplinarians, and this is a mistake, because discipline is practically not connected with external factors. It always comes from within and is based on internal abilities and skills, on the internal qualities of our brain. first of all, and we will also talk about this. Another mistake is to consider discipline as repeated actions. Yes, this is one of the signs of discipline, but not the most important one, because what about bad habits? Scrolling through the feed for hours, or overeating sweets, smoking in the end. This is also repeated actions, but we cannot call it discipline. Then you might say, maybe we are talking about complex actions, like training, but I will ask, and complex for whom? Because training can be difficult for a non-athletic person, but for a professional athlete, conducting an hour-long training session, even for pleasure, most likely does not present much difficulty, so the concept of a complex action in this case is also very relative. So what is discipline then, and what is the difference between discipline and habit? The difference is in the effort of the mind. And what kind of effort of the mind is this? Let's figure it out together. First, let's start with the fact that discipline is directly related to the decision-making process. Because simply put, we call someone disciplined who repeatedly performs certain actions, whether he wants to or not. And performing certain actions is always a decision made by the mind about what to do. Instead of taking an extra rest, being lazy, and so on. Let's look a little deeper into the decision-making process. What is it? What is going on in our heads? And in our heads, a struggle unfolds between the limbic system and the cortical system of the brain. Or, to put it simply, between emotions and reason, this struggle unfolds every time we make any decision, even the smallest one. Usually, it is to go to a workout or be lazy, eat sweets or abstain, take on a difficult task or put it off for later once again. The subject of such a struggle is usually simple: to get a little pleasure now, which is given by cheap dopamine, which unfortunately quickly ends, and we are again dissatisfied with life, or to get long-term pleasure later, high-quality dopamine, which brings pleasure for a very long time. The ability to learn towards high-quality dopamine and delayed pleasure is called the effect of delayed gratification, and oddly enough, it is our ability to enhance the effect of delayed gratification, to sacrifice momentary pleasures for long-term benefits. That is the main criterion that determines a person's success in life in general. This is almost a scientifically proved fact, because it is through such delayed pleasure that we achieve a cumulative effect. By postponing pleasure one after another, we get results later. And such results accumulate and lead to great achievements. And without a accumulate effect, such achievements are simply impossible. And now it's time to return to discipline, which is nothing more than repeated successive efforts of the mind in making a decision which our mind pumps up. Accordingly, discipline is nothing more than a manifestation of the power of our mind as a process of pumping up this power and a process ultimately of achieving the effect of delayed gratification. And the more the mind is pumped up, the easier it is for us to do the same action, and it brings more and more pleasure. Over time, we like it so much that it becomes a habit, and we no longer need to make efforts of the mind. We just do it automatically. Habit is when it is easier to do than not to do. And it is habit that is our ultimate goal, because it forms a way of life. And discipline is a tool on the path to developing the ultimate goal. A habit and the process of disciplining yourself is the process of fighting with yourself, which is the most difficult. Discipline is the performance of reasonable actions in the time, and reason is that part include us that is capable of making conscious volitional decisions. This is what distinguishes a person from an animal. Animals have instincts and emotions. We have the ability to choose. The more we straighten our reason, and the more often it becomes the basis of our actions, the closer we are to our human nature, and therefore freer, because true freedom isn't following a mood or impulse, but acting as you yourself decided. And you know, even at the level of sensations, this kind of following reason, it clearly manifests itself, and we can feel it. I think you have experienced these feelings. These are the feelings when you didn't want to, but overcame yourself, overcame resistance, laziness inside, and did what you didn't want. And at such moments, it is as if we experience not just satisfaction from the fact that we did the job, but as if we were somehow cleansed inside, cleansed of unnecessary thoughts, doubts, emotions, feelings that led us in the wrong direction. And in fact, this is my favorite feeling. This is the same quality dopamine that we receive and which accompanies us for a very long time which does not end in the moment. And also, a very perhaps strange feeling arises, but I can describe it as confidence that you can rely on yourself, that you are the person who can be trusted, because these are, after all, two parts that fight inside us, and when the one that, let's say, is for the right cause wins, we begin to trust it more, and as if we begin to trust ourselves more, simply internal confidence increases regarding all other things in our life. And this begins to be felt especially clearly in the long terms and bear fruit, because over time you seem to stop being shaken, you became less reactive, you are no longer bothered by other people's options. In principle, you are not distracted by people. You don't become led by some random emotions, and all this causes a stable feeling of control over everything that happens around you. You seem to clearly know your vector, you act from your mind, you do it easily, and realize what is right for you. At any given moment in time, it's like just a different taste of life when you come to it. In the end, you don't get irritated if you did not get something here and now. You don't get upset, don't despair, don't burn out. None of this happens because you trust yourself, you trust time, you are focused on the process, on what you are doing. You love what you are doing, you do what you want in the end, because you make reasonable decisions and follow them, which means there is no room for irritation. You enjoy the process, and it does not matter whether you got what you wanted, what you were striving for now, or you will get it later. You just catch zen in what you are doing. And tell me yourself, all these feelings that I listed, is this not freedom, confidence, control, the ability to move according to your strong-willed, reasonable decisions, regardless of momentary desires and moods? Is this not manifestation of the true inner self, your desire, your will? And what is freedom if not a manifestation of your will in this form? Being unburdened by these momentary pleasures, desires, instincts, and other distractions that creep into our hands and with which we fight all our lives. In my opinion, this is the most accurate, the coolest definitions of what we call freedom and what each of us should strive for first and foremost. After all, there is a very fair phrase on this matter: only disciplined people are free, all the rest are slaves to their mood. I really like one good phrase on this matter: fast is slow, but consistent. A slow but painstaking and consistent path of applying minimal mental effort. Don't start running tomorrow, but run at least 1 kilometer today. Don't immediately stop eating sweets, but reduce the volume a little or replace it with fruit. Don't read an hour a day, but stand with at least 3 pages. Perhaps it is time for us to finish this issue, and I would like to conclude it with this thought. If there is some universal formula for success, then it lies in one simple word: discipline. This does not mean not being emotional. It means controlling you emotionally and the volume of your spontaneous actions. That's all. If you liked the episode, give it a like, write comments. We'll discuss some of the topics I listed today and what else I want to talk about in more detail. Write too. I take ideas from the comments for the next episodes, among other things. And click the bell to be the first to know about the next episodes. Bye.